This podcast is a proud member of the Teach Better Podcast Network. Better today, better tomorrow, and the podcast to get you there. Explore more podcasts at www.teachbetterpodcastnetwork.com. Now let's get on to the episode.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Principal Leadership Lab, a podcast experience created for you by two public school administrators. Without further ado, let's join Jeff and Adam in this week's episode.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Another episode of the Principal Leadership Lab, number 52 to be exact. Adam, how are you, my friend?
I am doing great. Can you imagine that we made it past 50 and 51 and now it's 52?
I really can't. What a journey it has been, and just super exciting, again, I know we say it all the time, but I'm just, it's just a journey, having known these people on social media mainly for years, and then getting to, chat with them for an hour has just been a great use of my time. I learn a lot.
Totally. And I think that's something that every listener should remember, that if you have an author or somebody that you feel like is untouchable, reach out to them, because I think in today's world with social media and video conferencing, it's easier than ever. I've never had an author turn me down in connecting in one-on-one or with a group of students. They've always said yes, because Zoom is so much easier. They don't travel. They don't have to pay for hotels. Sure. So take advantage of these things while we have them. That's one of the good things that's happened during COVID.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And just the connections that that we've made just have been so strong. And I really am thankful for all of them. So that's awesome. I'm excited about our guest tonight, Adam. He and I met, oh gosh, maybe he can jog my memory when he comes on tonight, but a couple of years ago, at least now, on a Facebook group for school admin. I think it was a mentoring group, and he and I connected and have stayed in touch over the at least a couple of years. So tonight I'm thrilled to be able to bring in and let the world know about the executive director at St. Paul American School, Hanoi, in Hanoi, Vietnam. And I know you're going to have to correct me on Hanoi, Vietnam. Hails from Richmond, Virginia, but born in Arizona, Dr. Mu Eiselstein. Mu, how are you, my friend?
Woo. I'm great, Jeff. Thanks for having me. Hi, Adam. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
All right. So what a journey it has been for you. And is it right? Has it been a couple of years since we first connected?
It was. You're very accurate. It was on a Facebook group for mentoring. I felt like I was really drowning at the time, and that mentoring thing couldn't have happened at a better time for me. And I'm very grateful for all the conversations that we were able to have and being in touch since then. So, yeah.
Yeah. That was great. I don't know how much I helped you, Adam. No comment.
Yeah, that was quick.
But it was, I think that the benefit and beauty of some of those things is just knowing that someone's on the other end of the line and that you can kick ideas around with. And we were able to do that a number of times. And so, I got a lot of that, as well as I hope you did too. So, Mu, you are out in Vietnam. And it's 5 a.m. there, my friend. And so Adam and I are just really happy that you were able to, not sleep past the snooze too many times, I don't think, right? And join us here at 5 p.m. our time, 5 a.m. in Hanoi time, right?
Right. No, there's no way I was going to miss this. I've been looking forward to it on my calendar. And I did want to ask, I do listen to your show, but I am wondering, am I the first international educator?
Well, excluding Canada,
right.
Excluding Canada, but beyond the North American continent, yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, you are. And so we are really thrilled, about that. And, Moo, you and I got to talk a little bit about the difference between, school in Vietnam and school in the USA through just our personal conversations. And so I'm really looking forward to getting into that a little more for our audience tonight. But yeah, you are the first international guest that we've had on. And so we're in touch with one more that we're trying to get on, and she is her name is Georgina, and she is out in I'm going to forget where she's at right now. I'll bring it back around to her. But yeah, you're the first one, so we're excited about that, Moo.
Well, we did interview a few people from Illinois, and that's like a different country.
So whole different gut. Hey, wait, I'm from Illinois.
Yeah, that's why I said it.
No, that's funny. Oh, Jordan. She's in Jordan. She's an educator who lives out in Jordan. And so I'm excited to bring her in. Adam, I don't even know if I told you about her. So,
yep.
Awesome. So Moo, I mean, just for this, for our listeners' sake, who may not know a whole lot about you, I mean, just let's start right there. Talk to us about your leadership journey. I mean, how did you get into education, and how did you find yourself out in Vietnam?
Oh, wow. 2 long stories. Well, I'll condense them for you, but I, like a lot of your guests, I didn't get into education right away. I joined the military, the Army right out of high school. That was something I knew I'd always do because every male in my family has done it since my great grandfather. And so I joined the military. I was a military policeman for 6 years. And then I thought that law enforcement was something that I wanted to do. That was my childhood dream. And I thought I was going to just grow up and be a police officer. But 6 years of that was really tough. Police officers have a really tough job. And it was just something that when I left the military, I knew I couldn't do that job. And so I kicked around in business for a little bit. I was an account manager for a distribution company. And then I got into education because one day I substituted for an ESL class. It was kind of an emergency. And I did it as a favor. And that first class, I loved it. I just loved the connection, seeing people want to learn. I did it growing up. I wasn't someone who looked forward to learning. And so to be a part of that, just that one class, I walked out of that class and said, I'm going to become a teacher. And so I began that road. And shortly after getting into teaching, after a few years, I saw the job of the principal and how challenging it was, but how important it was. And so that was a decision I made just after a few years of teaching. And then it happened when I was here in Vietnam. So I came to Vietnam not to teach. I had actually met a woman online. And
that sounds a little sketchy already, but this is going to be good. We haven't had this on any episode yet. So thank you, Moo. This is going to be good.
Yeah.
A lady online. That's a great line. That's going to be the title of the show. I met a lady online.
First international educator, first guy to meet a woman online. Yeah. She was a teacher too. She's from the Philippines, but she was in Vietnam teaching ESL, which is very common here. And we had communicated online for a long time. I had a break and I said, I'm going to go visit her, and everything works out. Then, we'll see what happens from there. And I flew to Vietnam as the summer of 2012, and I never left. Fell instantly in love. And we got married a few months later. And excuse me, and we're still married to this day. I'm happy to say we have 2 young children. We have a daughter.
How many years have you been married, Mo?
8 years.
Well, congratulations.
Wow.
Thank you. And so it was difficult because I came here. I was like, wow, how am I going to teach her? I didn't know anything about international education. I didn't know that there were international schools, but we had decided that we were going to stay in Vietnam for the time, because she wasn't really keen on going back to the US, and I didn't want to go to the Philippines where she's from. And so we said, we're going to stay in Vietnam until we figure this out. And then I just happened to find a great job at my current school. And I started my administrative journey from there. And the plan was to return to the US so I could start that. But then the elementary principal position opened up at the school, and I said, why not? I'll apply for it, and I got it, and I've been an administrator ever since.
That's quite the story. And I love how you, there was one part in there when you were first telling us the beginning of the story, and you said you didn't like learning. And I bet that you probably did. I bet you did like learning. You probably didn't fit into the brick and mortar school system that you were, engaging or trying to engage in at that time period.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think, I'm hearing, I see the news about all of the anti-Asian, racism that's going on in the U.S. right now, and that was part of it for me. I moved around, like I said, a lot because of my dad being in the military, and so I was often the only Asian American in the school, and so I got bullied a little bit, and teachers, they automatically assume that I wasn't learning or picking something up because of my Asian background. And so school was just not fun for me at all. And so I think you're right. I think I did like to learn. It's just, I didn't really feel like I had those opportunities. And so I kind of drifted off a little bit in high school, knowing that I would go into the military and not go straight into college. And but it was in the military that I learned to love. I learned to love to learn, I guess you could say.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. I mean, I've had a similar tale, not liking school. I think I've always loved to learn, which is why I, when I finally did go back a couple of years out of high school, I didn't stop until 2018, and I finished my doctoral degree. So it's not about not liking to learn, but I think, Adam, you're right when you say it's more about the traditional brick and mortar, learning in these four walls, in this desk, in this row. It's about that, for me, that I didn't like, and so many kids. I mean, we could have a whole episode or two about traditional schooling and how it doesn't work for so many, right? So that's awesome, man. What a great story. So you found this St. Paul American School where you're at right now, and you taught there, then you became the principal there, but you're the executive director now, right? I mean, is there a difference in titles in Vietnam?
Yeah, for this school, it is. It's executive director is head of school. And so
okay.
I was the elementary principal for 4 years. And then because it's a different setup, it is a for-profit school. And so it's owned by one gentleman. And for the longest time, we kind of reported directly to him. And we meaning me and the secondary principal, we've always, recommended that we have a more traditional structure to make it more focused on education. And last year he finally said, okay, Moo, put up or shut up. And he made me the executive director. And
wow,
first year of the position. Yeah.
So it's still owned by him, but he made you executive director to give it a more traditional feel, right? Of who's in charge, maybe.
Right. So before this setup, it just didn't feel right education wise to have two principals reporting to a CEO. And so now I have, basically my job is to obviously strategic direction and making sure we have the proper frameworks and procedures in place, but just to handle all the educational aspects of the school. And he's the finance guy. So I whenever we need, money, we have a process for that, but he kind of controls that part. And so I can focus on the community and education.
Does he ever get involved in the education side of things, or does he pretty much remain as the CFO or the financial, person?
For the most part, he stays with the finances. There are times where, when we have something new that we want to try at the school, or and it's not something that he fully understands, he'll inquire about it and ask about it. And he has 2 children at the school, and he wants them to have a great experience too. And so he does get involved a little bit, but surprisingly, from what I've heard from other, proprietary schools, he's been able to let it go and just kind of let us run it. And so it's been a great experience for us.
It's really similar, I think, to a small scale, but compared to our school within our state system, that our state government, the Department of Public Instruction, for the most part, leaves us alone. But then sometimes they do put their fingers in closer to the pot and, force us to do certain programming and to do certain things. So it's, I think, similar, but on a much smaller scale.
Yeah, I think it's scary when I always tell this when I meet new teachers, or we're going through the interview process, the hiring process. That's something that always comes up, is that it's a for-profit school and it's owned by someone. What does that do to the educational quality of the school? And I, like you just said, Adam, it's the same thing basically, whether you're, I know nonprofit schools that have a board of management or board of directors that's much more involved and it has much more say. And so, yeah, it's just how you're able to get everyone on board on the mission and focused on education first. And I'm glad that we've been able to do it.
Wow. That's so interesting to me. So as you moved into this executive director, head of school position, you say this is your first year in that role?
Yes.
So how is that different from what you were doing before? I mean, have you felt a difference in responsibility in terms of what you're doing now as opposed to being the elementary principal?
Absolutely, because I am responsible for overseeing the secondary school. So we still have an elementary principal and we have a secondary principal, and I kind of supervise them to make sure that they have the resources that they need, that we're, staying focused on our mission. They're younger too. They're in their second year of being school administrators. And so it's been really helpful for all of us to have this new director role to kind of guide and mentor them as well. So it is different. It's just more, I guess, divisional, I guess a way to put it. But I'm there every day. We meet and talk about things all the time. We have daily check-ins, weekly meetings, and I'm just more of a resource for them. A big part of my job is the community. So as principals, obviously you have to have a great relationship with all the stakeholders of the school. But for me, I'm kind of the face in the international setting. And this is kind of an international setup. Most international schools do have what they call like a head of school or a director, and then principals for each school, like if they have an elementary and a secondary. And so that's pretty common. Yeah.
Wow.
So as a school in Vietnam, who are your clients? Because I looked at your Facebook page and I see there's a lot of English. There's some, it looks like maybe Vietnamese, but I'm not very good at telling the languages. Yeah. So who are your students that actually attend that school? Where do they come from? You tell us.
Yeah, we have students from 26 different countries. Hanoi is a very international city. Most of our students are actually from Korea. I know it sounds kind of strange because we're in Vietnam, but there are a lot of Korean companies that have families working here. Samsung's largest facility is here right outside of Hanoi. A lot of the construction companies that work inside of Vietnam are from Korea. So most of our students are Korean, and then we do have 25% Vietnamese. And then the rest are, like I said, spread out over those other 24 countries. We have a lot of American students this year because we have a lot of teachers that brought their children with them. So that's always exciting.
Wow.
Yeah. But we call ourselves an American school because we obviously follow like the American Common Core standards. Most of our teachers are from America, licensed teachers from America. And it's just to give most of our students want either that American value system, that educational structure, or a lot of them also have aspirations of going to an American university or a boarding school if they're younger. And so we're kind of like a preparation for them to have those experiences.
When you have teachers that are coming to work inside of your American school in Vietnam, do they come for, I'm sure that I can answer my own question, but I'm curious to see if there's any specifics. Do they come for specific reasons? Are some of them, fresh out of college and they just want to explore the world? Or are they are their husbands or spouses, whatever, husbands or wives working in Vietnam, and they apply to work in your school? What is there a larger group, or you tell me, what's it look like for teaching staff?
It's pretty mixed. So, like you said, there are some teachers that during college they learned about international education and they want to try it as soon as they get out of college. We also have teachers that were in the public school system for a very long time, and this is their opportunity to travel internationally for a little bit, and we have everyone in between, people like me that just kind of landed in Vietnam or in the international scene. So it is pretty varied, but we're very fortunate. I'm sorry, I should go back. There are also teachers that are kind of frustrated with the public education system right now, and so they also, they're looking for they want to remain in teaching, and so they come here for a few years before they go back, kind of get re-energized. And I don't mean that to sound negative.
Sure.
About the public. It's just, they have, I think we all have different ideas and visions for what we want to do as educators, and sometimes they feel like they can do that in an international setting. And so, yeah, it's people from all over different goals and aspirations.
Yeah, I agree with you. The level of frustration is probably at an all-time high, at least from what I've observed from my career over 25 years. And
Sure.
COVID has probably painted that picture even more clearly for me. And I hope that somebody, and I know a lot of people at the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction, and I hope they're listening, because during a pandemic, we could have used more support, more help, more guidance, and I got less than ever. All those hard decisions: should we have school? Should we not have school? Should we wear masks? Not wear masks? It came all the way down to, well, we're going to leave it up to a local control. But when it came to teacher evaluation, if I would have said, we're not going to do Danielson's model or educator effectiveness as determined by the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction, I would be on the curb without a job. So, those are things that it's frustrating. So if it's frustrating as a principal, I can guarantee you that our teachers have experienced levels of frustration for all kinds of different topics. So I'm glad to hear that some of those people found different places to land, like in Vietnam at an American school, that they can, continue their teaching while some of the wrinkles get ironed out here in America, so they can, just another opportunity. And I think that's good.
Yeah, it's been a learning experience for me too, to learn from their different frustrations, because it obviously, we try to address them here. Vietnam has been very safe with COVID. We're in school face to face. We do have some minor, some little safety precautions that we have to do, like wearing safe masks to school and checking temperatures and things like that. But but to hear about those frustrations that they have, everything from teacher budgets to how policies are created and stuff. I am happy to say, because I'm very much a public education fan and advocate, that most teachers come here frustrated, and then they get that spark, and then they look forward to going back. And so we do send them back to you pretty,
Thank you.
And ready to get back to it. There is a couple that just moved back to San Francisco that specifically, they wanted a public education job, and they had new ideas and a newfound belief in the system, and they couldn't wait to get back. So I'm happy that happens.
Without minimizing, because I don't mean it to sound minimizing, but this could be like a work vacation to come over to Vietnam and work for 5 years, whatever you guys work out as a contract or something. I think it'd be great to explore a different area, a different country, different part of our world, and then still work the craft that you went to college for, that maybe you bleed sweat and tears for every day. So it's a good, people that are listening should consider traveling and participating in a school around the world. It seems safe too. You don't seem worried about your school. You don't, on your Facebook page, you don't have, alarms that, when I read it doesn't seem alarming to me. So travel can be safe, and I think it'd be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very safe. It's very fun. Cost of living is great here. You can save some money coming here, and Yeah. I agree, Adam. I think it'd be a cool thing. We don't advertise it as like that, we want to
No.
for a few years, but deep down, being an American and loving the public education system, I do. I someday want to return. I don't know when that will be.
Yeah.
But yeah, they definitely leave here feeling energized. That's good to see.
Well, Jeff couldn't afford to fly there with his 50 kids.
No.
So that's the hard part. He
Not
had his
coming
own
out.
plane.
Maybe we can meet someday when you come back to the States, but I'm not flying out anytime soon.
That sounds good. But you can probably afford, if you can get the flight here, the rest is really cheap. So
see that's enticing. That's good to hear.
And I don't think you have to shovel snow, right?
No snow.
That's what I like to hear, baby.
Okay.
Yeah, sign me up. Do you have a science position in a middle school tomorrow? I'll be there. 72 hours? I can be there.
We'll make room for you, Adam.
Okay, good.
That's awesome. It does give me pause to think about, wishing that we could do the same thing. It sounds very intriguing and lovely to be able to head out there, get recharged, still teaching, and then come back to the United States and bring some of that great energy here, but I'm curious, that it's an American school. So the curriculum is the same as you would find for the most part here in the States. Am I right? Not all schools out there, but your school in particular, because it's an American school. So it might not have the constraints of a public school here in the States, but the curriculum are there other things that are similar or different?
He's exactly right. We try to make it as an American experience as possible. So everything from it being is an English language environment, so students have that immersive English experience. We have everything that we try to model it, a core value system, the way we do assemblies, we use MAP for assessments. I think any American educator would come in and feel right at home, other than, having to, the way they get to the school, it's very different. But it's very similar and very what children would see in America. Everything, we really try to make it as American as possible.
Well, that's great. Well, because of Adam, if you get an influx of requests to come out and teach there, you can blame him.
Okay.
I'm not going to share this episode with my teachers because I'll be like, I want to work for Moo. I don't want to work for you anymore. I'm out of here. I'm going to Vietnam.
International teaching has some challenges too, culture shock. It's very real. I know when I landed here 8-9 years ago, the first thing you see in the airport is military people. And it's just it's run by the military. And so it's kind of off-putting, but everything from missing home. I miss Subway sandwiches. I haven't had a Subway sandwich in 3 or 4 years. So things like that. We do have McDonald's now, although I try to stay away from McDonald's.
Yeah.
Nothing against the company, just I'm getting older and the food goes straight to my belly now. But
I know the feeling.
Yeah, but there are some ups and downs. There are some positives and negatives to it, but yeah.
Sure. Well, that's great. I would love to come visit, Moo. Love to come and visit.
You have a place to stay anytime.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Thanks.
That's amazing.
Been with his 50 kids, all of them?
Yeah. I got a big place here. So cost of living, like I said, is pretty low. So
all right.
You're welcome to Adam anytime you're in Vietnam.
I make jokes about Jeff and his large family, but it's because he has a large heart too. So as funny as it may be to make fun of him, Jeff, it's true. You do have a big heart. You and Michelle have done a great job with adoption, and it's pretty amazing. Not everybody can do that. I couldn't do that. It would be hard for me.
You could.
Well, that's good to hear, but my wife would say I don't like kids, so I'm just kidding.
It's kind of hard. You have to love kids. I think all three of us here on this platform do. So
we do. Yep.
Hey, Moo, is there along your career, whether it's, whatever it may be, I mean, you take this in any direction you want, but has there been something that you have viewed as like a challenge or as a couple of our guests like to reframe it, have liked to reframe it an opportunity? They don't like to view them as challenges, but along the way in your educational path, I mean, what would you say about that if we asked you about a challenge or an opportunity that you faced and how you dealt with that?
two things immediately come to my mind. Can I share two?
Sure.
I think the first one is me personally, my personality. When you think of principals and school administrators, my personality is not the first thing that you think of. I'm very much an introvert, and so and I'm not like the boss type guy. I very much believe in shared decision making and working with collaborating with everyone on my staff, and I think that sounds really good. I think everyone wants that.
Sure.
But also there are times where people want, or people need, kind of that visible, powerful image of a leader. And sometimes I'm not that guy. I'm a very unassuming guy. When I go to functions with other schools and stuff, most of the time people don't, look at you. There are people that you see that you're like, that's a leader. Like, Jeff, you look like a leader to me. You look like a school leader to me. I look like, the kindergarten teacher that I used to be. And so for me, it's kind of being that figure when I need to be. That's a very big challenge for me. So that's a personal one. And then I would say a professional one is, the best definition of leadership that I've ever been given was when I was in the military. And it was, a leader takes someone from wherever they are in their journey, to where we need them to be. And for me, I think that's a challenge, getting to know where people are in their journey, what their personal goals are, how that aligns with the community's goals, and getting them to that. So if there was like a magic wand to do that, I wish I could find it.
Wow.
I love doing it because I love learning about people, and I love learning about how they got to where they are, and how they identified where they want to be, and how that meshes with what we're trying to accomplish as a school community. I love that aspect. It's just, I wish I was better at it.
Well, I love that you're willing to share your thoughts as you did today, Moo. So 37 minutes ago, I met you, and you feel welcome enough to bare your soul, so to speak, to tell us that here's my shortcoming. And I'm going to tell you that is a strength, and I wouldn't let anybody take that away from you. And you just have to hire people that fit those other parts that you're not that strong at. I think that I am similar, and Jeff, you're probably similar to Moo as well. We're not really authoritarian type of leaders, but I do find people that can fill that role for me, and they don't have to ask my permission because I trust them. I've hired them because they feel a weakness, or not a strength anyway. I don't know if it's a weakness of mine, but they fill those other parts that we're not as strong in. And I just have to give them permission that you can do that. You do your work and I'll do my work. And together it's a good fit. So definitely don't feel bad about it. I would much rather have a leader with a big soft heart instead of a leader with a big club. So keep that in mind as you go through and overcome those struggles and opportunities that you face in Vietnam.
Well, I appreciate that, Adam. I feel comfortable sharing that because I do listen to the show, and I've listened to your other guests, and it feels like a great place for us to be able to share those things so that we can learn from each other. And I'm not embarrassed about it anymore. Like you said, I think you identify areas that you can grow, or you find people, you surround yourself with the people that do excel at those things. And I'm thankful that I do have those people with me this year. And so it's just a personal thing. Like, I wish that I was more, I wish I was more like a certain way, but I'm completely happy letting be that person too.
I love that, man. I'm as you were talking, I felt like, it was almost like your challenge has been needing to get out of your own way, get out of your head and not worry about that personality thing, like, oh, I wish I sounded more authoritative, or I wish I was taller, because as I was going into the high school 4 years ago and thought I never saw myself as a high school principal, because mainly most of the kids are taller than me. I'm only 5'9", and they grow them bigger these days.
Yes.
if the kids are just so tall, and most of them are taller than me. I thought I'd be intimidated by them, but it's how you carry yourself. It's how you believe in yourself. I remember an assistant superintendent that I had one year in a certain district that I worked in, and she was a short little lady, maybe 5'2", and that's given her an inch or two, but she carried herself with such an authoritative demeanor that everyone overlooked that. It didn't matter. You listened to her when she spoke.
Same thing at Heritage Elementary School.
Oh, absolutely.
With the onus. Yes.
Yeah, sure. And I didn't know her too well, but I could tell I did meet her though. She carried that personality. So
yep.
I love that you share that, Moo, and I think our listeners are going to be able to glean a lot from that example right there. And we talk about all the time, and some people call it imposter syndrome, where you let this self-doubt creep in, and you think, oh, there's no way that people would want to hear from me, so you just can't believe that it's you, right? So I love that, and I thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. You talked about, Jeff, needing to be taller possibly to fit into the high school. Well, when Jeff came to Heritage Elementary School, when I first met him, 25-ish years ago, I was teaching 5th grade, and my wife always made fun of me that I looked like I was in 5th grade. So that was the first year I grew a goatee, and I've had one ever since. And now it's like grown into a full beard. So you have to cope and overcome with whatever skills you need to get through the hard times. So whether I'm short or face hairless, now I'm both. I'm short and hairful. So
that's great.
So Moo, like I said, now we're up to like 41 minutes that I've known you, and I feel like I've known you forever. So that's a good sign. I think it's a sign of a good leader. So as you look into the future, what are you most hopeful for?
Gosh, there's so many things I'm hopeful for. I think going back to something we touched on with just the current climate in the US, how we're responding to COVID, how we're acknowledging, certain biases, or that there's, like the anti-Asian hate that's going on right now. And I'm just hopeful that as an education community, we can find a way to learn and be those leaders in enacting change. Because I think if you look around, who else is going to do it? We rely on our government a lot, and that's great because they're there for us, for the people. But I think as a community that is becoming more progressive and showing that they can tackle these social issues, I'm hopeful that as a whole, as a profession and as a community, that we can really be the ones leading the charge and saying, okay, this COVID did this to our education system and the way that we think about education now. How can we learn from it and not just cope and fix, but thrive on what we've learned from COVID, with the Black Lives Matter movement, Asian Lives Matter. Like, how can we as a school community get in front of that and not react to it so much, but continue to teach students that there's value, everyone's valuable and everyone's important and everyone matters. And so how can we as an education community kind of push that? And so I'm hopeful that we can do that, because I don't know who else is going to do it. And we even, it's something that I really want to put in front of people here. Like, we're in Asia, we're kind of isolated from a lot of that. Like, I have to read about it in the news. I read about what happened in Colorado, and my heart and prayers go out to everyone for that. But even here in Asia, what can I do as a leader to help people get that mindset to, like, we have to be those agents of change, so that if and when they go back to America, they're ready to do that. So I'm just hopeful that we don't lose these opportunities, and instead we can kind of make them an opportunity, make them a chance to grow.
Wow. That's
great.
Make
it sound so simple. Really it is. It's about us enacting those changes, caring for one another, be kind, and it starts with our students in pre-K, kindergarten, and we continue to teach. So I'm willing to lift up the charge. So I'm going to follow Moo. I'm following Moo. What about you, Jeff?
There we go. I'm with you. I love the phrase, we're not just here to cope and fix,
Yes.
that's not what we do. What's the next level there? What's next level change? And if not us, then who's that going to be? It has to be us. We have to enable and empower others to change as well, to inspire change in others. So love that, Moo. Great advice. All the way from Vietnam, 12 hours away.
Thank you. I'm so hopeful. I didn't mention this earlier, but both of my children are special needs, and the way that the children here just rally around my children and help them and accept them and embrace them and love them. Like you guys know, when we were growing up, it wasn't like that. Things were different. Unfortunately, special needs children were bullied, and they were viewed as very different. And so teachers at our school have shown children that difference is not only difference is not something that you kind of tolerate, but you embrace. And so I'm seeing it happen with my own children in my own community. So why not the whole education community?
Yeah. It wasn't even just our own profession, but speaking of our profession, our students with special needs, when I was in school, were often not even present. They were hidden, tucked away, not to be seen. And it just seems so shameful and so archaic, but it wasn't that long ago. That's the scary part. So the good news about that, the hopeful part, is that change can happen very quickly, because that wasn't that long ago, and we are already making big steps to make that better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
sure. I love that. I'm glad that you shared that piece about your kids, Moo. That's fantastic. Yeah, what a great community for them to grow up in and learn about acceptance, and empowering others to do the same. So I love that. Hey, if people want to get a hold of you, Moo, what's the best way? I mean, I don't know how heavy you're out there on the social media, but if they want to know more, if they want to talk to you about school in Vietnam or anything that you've mentioned here today on our show, how can they reach you?
Yeah, it's tricky. I have a very different name, but it's not one that I can just say and you can find easily on Facebook. But I think if you were to just look up St. Paul, Hanoi, you could go to our Facebook page, and I post there often, and you can find contact information there. Do a Google search for St. Paul, Hanoi school, and you'll find my contact information on there. I am on Twitter. It's Moo_Eiselstein.
Okay.
I use that as my professional learning network, so I'm very active on Twitter.
Great.
As well. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, we'll put that in the show notes so that people are able to find you if they want to connect. And listen, it's 10 to 6 a.m. on a Wednesday, 10 to 6 p.m. on a Tuesday for us. So I hope you have a great day at school. I'm assuming you're going to get ready and go in a little while.
Yep.
So we really appreciate you coming on the show today, and can't wait to share the world your wisdom. So best of luck to you. Let's stay in touch. And it's been a great talking to you, Moo.
Thanks, Moo.
Thank you, Adam. It's been such a treat for me. I'm so honored that you had me on your show, and look forward to talking to you soon.
Well, the honor is all ours. We learned a lot tonight. So, Dr. Moo, and congrats. You got the 1 year on your doctoral coming up here in June, right?
That's right. Thank you.
Okay, congratulations on that. Yeah, that's awesome work. And we'll talk to you soon. And Adam, I'll see you next time on the Principal Leadership Lab.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the Principal Leadership Lab. Feel free to connect with us in between episodes on Twitter and on Instagram. All of our information is included within our show notes. Until next time, this is Adam signing off for the Principal Leadership Lab.